When you buy a Rivnut tool, it will come with a variety of sizes of dies, both in metric and standard. In my van build, I've decided to standardize on 3 sizes. M8, the reason for the M8 is that the van already has several M8 bolts. Also, this hexagon size exactly fits pre-existing holes in the van. So M8 is a definite. Then 5/16, and the one I use most is a 1/4-20. The Rivnut tool is very simple. You take one of the dies, this one here is a 1/4-20. To install the die, you just take and slide this collar down and screw it in. Make sure it lines up so that that sleeve moves up past. See, if it was off center, it may not close all the way. Then you put this collar on top. The distance you thread this collar on will change with the different size of dies. If you screw it in too far, you won't get much motion with this moving in and out. So if you notice it's difficult to use, you may have to adjust the distance that this collar is protruding out. Then you put the cap on the top and screw that in. Be sure not to cross thread anything, and tighten stuff up. And once it's tightened up, it's important that it's tight so that you're not putting too much pressure on the threads. Then you'll see as you move this out, that extends, and as you close the handles, it retracts. So then you take your Rivnut and screw the Rivnut on. If I open this up all the way, I can screw this all the way down. But here's the thing. If you have the handles this far apart, with that all the way screwed in, it's difficult to squeeze this. So why try to do it all in one motion? Move this out a little bit. Then the handles come together really easy. You can squeeze it, open it, tighten this up a little bit, and squeeze it again. Tighten this up a little bit, squeeze it again, boom, and then you're done. There's no reason to have to do it all in one single step. After you do 10, 15, 20 of these, you'll start to get worn out. Now the 1/4-20, they're real easy to do. The ones that are the toughest are the M8 because they're the largest and because of their hexagonal shape. They're tougher to crush. So let's go to the van and put one in for real, and you'll see how easy it is. And you flip that around and you easily have all your steel filings. Easy to throw out and a pretty clean magnet. After you drill those holes, you need to immediately follow up with touch-up paint so that no rust starts to form. And then I'll get the Rivnut in there as quickly as possible when I can. I even go from the back, because the last thing we want is rust. I drilled my hole where I was going to put the Rivnut, and I painted over it. I kind of like to put the Rivnut in when the paint's still a little damp. That way it seals around the Rivnut. These Rivnuts are going to hold the wall and ceiling panels up. So you simply thread the Rivnut on there, put it in the hole. I use a hole as close to the size of the Rivnut as possible. Give it a squeeze. Tighten it up a little bit. Another squeeze. Tighten it up. And when you can't squeeze anymore, it's done. Then you just back this off. And your Rivnut is installed. And you now have a nice threaded spot on that wall to hold up whatever you need to hold up. What I'm creating my wall panels from is 3-ply, 5mm plywood. Trying to keep things as lightweight as possible. Then I'm cutting the panels to fit each section the way I've designed it. And this panel has been cut and it fits right in here. I'm going to grab some tape. Need my helping hands here when you're doing things solo. You need as many helping hands as possible. And sometimes you think of really creative ways of getting things to stay put. Now, this one's not so creative, it's just tape. But this panel is going to fit right in there. And I put a line where that steel section ends on the van. So I've made my line there. And now I'm going to drill holes go through the 5mm plywood and just touch that metal in the van. And that's giving me my little dots on the van wall where I'm going to drill my hole and put in my Rivnuts. Now, the way I've got this figured out is in this section, if you looked at my videos about the insulation, this has 2 thicknesses of polyiso. Each one is 0.75 inches. So right here in this area, there's 1.5 inches of polyiso insulation. This panel here is the one we just talked about, where I drilled the holes to locate where I'm going to drill the larger hole for the Rivnuts. This panel here is behind the bed section. Behind the bed section, there is 3/4 of an inch of polyiso. And I needed to do that to keep this as close against the wall as possible so that the bed mattress will fit. We need that extra inch. Now, behind this panel, you'll see the steel reinforcement rib for the van. This is going to be mounted directly against that steel reinforcement rib. But before I do that, I am cutting some of this foam and placing this foam and gluing the foam right up against that rib. That provides me with a thermal break, and it also stops any condensation that might form on the van from transferring to the wood wall panel. Of course, these wall panels will be sealed and painted with mold-killing paint before they're put up against the wall. But I just want every little protection I can have against mold, mildew, and anything that might cause harm to the van. Hopefully this gives you some ideas for your van build. If it does, please subscribe. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and hopefully I'll see you back for the next one. Thank you for watching.